Today's guest moved to Los Angeles from Canada 10 years ago when she became Playmate of the Year. That led her to do several reality shows, including The Hills and one of my favorites, The Girls Next Door. And for the last 6 years, she's been opening up nightclubs and restaurants, and she's determined to change the way society views women who choose not to be modest. She's a female empowerista, a vegan activist, and she's currently working on her latest project, which is an all-female-owned, eco-friendly, plant-based, authentic Mexican restaurant called Sugar Taco, which I happen to be a small little part of. The gorgeous Jayde Nicole.
Wow, that was a serious intro. I like it.
And
Thank you so much.
So I'm like,
I know. I was like, you really memorized that. I'm proud of you.
I know you, girl.
I'm proud of you.
I got you.
Well, thank you. I'm happy to be here.
I'm so excited to have you here.
And like you said, you are not a small part of Sugar Taco. You are a very important part, and you're one of our first investors. I think you were like second in or something. So it's very important to us.
I'm so honored to be a part of, something where there's all women involved. And like when you called me, I was so honored because you've obviously been doing this for a long time as far as like restaurants and nightclubs. And it seems like you already could have done it with a bunch of men.
Yeah.
And you chose to want to do it with, females behind you.
Yeah, so basically when I decided to make this move, this concept I've kind of had in my brain for years and years and I've always wanted to do, but it just seemed like the perfect timing. And when I first launched it, I called Brittany and I was like, I want to build this restaurant. You want to help me? Like, are you in? She's like, I'm in. I'm like, okay, funding's going to be no problem. I have like a couple guys that have always said, if you decide to do your next spot and you're taking on funding, let me know and I'll invest. And so at first we were like, okay, we have like 3 guys. They're going to, do the whole funding, no problem, like moving on, doing other stuff. And then like a couple months later when we were working on other things, I was like, you know what? I don't want to do that because every project that I've ever invested in or worked for or been an operator of, I've been the only woman. And even like my first nightclub, AV, that I invested in, I was the second to majority owner. And they didn't even come to me to ask me to invest. They came to me and asked for my boyfriend. And so I had to like force my way in because at the beginning I was like doing all this work and like coming up with a design and I'm like, okay, well, if I'm going to be putting in like all my time and effort into this, I may as well also be an owner. And I invested $250,000, which for me was all my money that I had saved up. Basically, I left myself a very, very small cushion of like survival money. I went all in. I was super excited, but like I said, I was literally the only woman. There was like 15 guys and me. And it was really hard. And all the other projects since then, it's been the same. It's been me and men and men and men and men. And so I was like, I don't want to do that. Like, I want this project to be run by women. I want it to be owned by women. And I want to give women a chance to invest in something because I feel like we're not asked very often, to invest in anything. Yeah. So we kind of went down this path and made our like dream list of all the women that we knew that were strong and we thought would be a really good, valuable asset to the company. And it took us a lot longer. We probably spent like 10 months doing our raise, but now we have this like amazing, badass group of women that own this restaurant that are all super passionate about changing the world and super into changing their personal perception as, being a model or an Instagram influencer or, it's hard even when you have a job, like you do, you're a yogi master, you own a company, but you're beautiful. So that's what people see first when they see your Instagram. And it really makes them take everything else a little bit less serious that you say and you do. So we're trying to kind of break that mold with this like group of women. And we're really proud of how we did it.
Well, I'm so excited to be a part of it.
Yeah.
And it sounds like that's basically your whole, motto. Like the way, you were Playmate of the Year 10 years ago, and it seems like you've kind of been like fighting this battle almost of like the way that society perceives women. Like if you do something, then you must not be capable of much.
Of course,
right?
Of course. And I opened my very first company when I was 16 years old. I was much before I had a modeling career. And
this was back in Canada?
Yeah. I actually owned a modeling agency, so it was so funny. But I just have opened so many companies and done things and charities and stuff over my life that it was weird to me, you know, when I was 24, 25 and we opened a nightclub, everyone kind of still just saw me, this is when Instagram came about, as like a model. And they didn't want to take me seriously or listen to me as their boss, especially men. Women were all for it. They were like super stoked. And but the men that I was in charge of were really upset about that. And I never really felt it that strongly until that moment. And so yeah, for the last like 6-7 years, I've really been trying to, you know, beat that stereotype that we have. And for me, when men like comment, oh, you just are a bikini model, like, what do you know about that, when we're talking about politics or environmentalism? And I'm like, what does the amount of skin that I show have anything to do with my intelligence level on a topic that I'm talking about? When most likely I'm more well-versed than you are in this, or I wouldn't be speaking about it. And it's upsetting. So yeah, we're trying to, you know, band together. There's only so much that I can do individually, but now we have, you know, there's like 12 of us, I think 13 of us that we're gonna make a difference, hopefully.
Well, I always say that with social media. I mean, I'm a mom, you know, of a teenage boy, so I have to be a little bit more careful than I used to be. But you know, I post things to get people's attention, but then I try and have some value behind the post and teach them and bring awareness. And you have brought so much awareness to veganism and animal rights and trying to save the planet. Like you see, I love the motto for Sugar Taco. It's like save the world one taco at a time. But just bring awareness to environmentalism and the connection. I don't think a lot of people, and I actually talk about this in my book, they don't make the connection between their eating choices and the environment. They don't realize that there's a huge impact.
Yeah, most people don't, and I didn't used to either. I mean, I've been vegetarian my whole entire life, but I've only been vegan for about 6 years. And I didn't think about it either. I was like, oh, you know, cows just make milk. That's what happens. Chickens just lay eggs. Like I kind of knew better in the back of my brain, but like I didn't want to look into it any deeper because I didn't want to change my habits. I didn't want to make the connection of what it was doing. And I feel like that's most people. And a lot of people are like, oh, you don't get it. I'm like, this was me. Like I ate cheese, I ate eggs every single morning. And when I finally did make the connection and see and start researching and learning more and more, it's like crazy how much our daily choices affect other people, the planet, of course, animals, our own bodies. It's like crazy to me. And so that's why I try to educate as many people as I can, because I wish that I had known this my whole life. I wish that I was taught this in school and didn't, you know, put all that crap in my body growing up, and do all the damage that I've done, you know.
So what made you make the connection to go vegan? What was that? Because you were vegetarian when you were a kid. I became vegetarian when I was 11 for the first time, and it was very unusual. Like, my grandma said I was gonna die.
Yeah, it was hard. I was 4 years old. I was like 4 or 5.
Wow.
And we grew up in like a little farming town, and my grandparents owned a farm, and I helped take care of the animals there, and play with the animals there. I was too young to really do anything. And one night we were sitting down eating dinner, and my stepdad, we had pork chops, said the name of the animal that I knew.
That's the connection.
Was that we were eating it. And I like you don't realize that meat is an animal. You just think meat is food when you're young and you're raised that way, and that's why people don't understand. So as soon as I found out, I threw a hissy fit, screaming, crying, and I never ate meat again. However, I continued to eat all dairy, didn't see the connection there, but social media came around, and I did a lot of work with PETA, so I followed them on Instagram, and they posted an egg video of like what really goes down in the egg industry, and I just couldn't unknow it. As soon as I watched it and I realized what was happening, I could no longer play ignorant and just eat my eggs and be like, oh no, they're totally fine. I saw it with my own eyes. So it scarred me and it sent me down this rabbit hole of research. It wasn't like I watched one video and felt like I knew everything. I really, really researched it a lot, and, you know, found out how terrible it was, and I just cold turkey cut everything off that day.
I think it's interesting. People get freaked out when you see these videos, and you know, I have a 14-year-old who is not a vegetarian, so I'm constantly sharing videos with him and trying to show documentaries and just give him the research. So he needs to come to that place on his own. But he's always like, Mom, I don't want to see. And that's exactly it. Once you see these videos, you cannot leave it from your subconscious. Like, it is there. And then once you make that connection, you have to think about it. Yeah. And it becomes it's harder to say no. But even more than that, you know, I think making that decision for health reasons is one thing, but once you realize that you can lower your carbon footprint and you can, you know, do all these environmentally,
it's so many things.
It's like,
crazy.
Oh, it's not about me. Like, I think so many people make it about me. Well, I like to eat this. Yeah. You know, and it's like,
and they think it's a personal decision. It's like not affecting anyone else. I'm like, actually, let's say you don't care about animals at all. I will play to any part of this. Like, I don't care why people go vegan as long as they do it. So let's say you don't care about animals at all. Some people think they're put on this earth to die for human beings to eat, whatever. Putting that aside, if you care about human beings, you need to look into the way that the workers are treated in these areas, in the slaughterhouses. Terrible things happen to them. They get diseases, cancers, they lose limbs while they're working. You have to look at the people that are living around these places. There's really high rates of cancer because of the feces and just pure toxins that run off from these.
More greenhouse gas emissions than transportation.
Yes, than the entire thing of transportation. And all the land we're taking up, the forests that we're cutting down, the plants and the wheat that we're using to feed them, we could literally feed every starving child on the planet, like 4 times over. Yeah. So it doesn't matter, say you only care about yourself, okay, it causes heart disease, it causes osteoporosis, it causes diabetes, it causes cancer cells to grow. If you only care about like humanity, then there's all those reasons I just listed. If you care about the planet, it's obvious. I mean, like you just mentioned, the greenhouse gases is crazy. You could literally never drive a car, never fly an airplane, not ride a bus, not do anything your whole life and not have as much impact as just not eating meat and dairy.
That's amazing.
Which is crazy. Yeah. People always get at me, they're like, well, you travel, you fly. I'm like, yeah, of course. I'm not living in a hut off the grid in the forest doing nothing. I'm not perfect. However, I believe in doing the most amount of impact with the least amount of effort, which I feel like is what is like the best for everyone, which is veganism. It's like so easy. Yeah. You're still eating and you eat bomb food. Like, I still eat burgers and mac and cheese and pizza and like there's literally tacos, obviously, burritos. You don't have to really give up anything.
And it's becoming more and more. I mean, I remember I grew up in Chicago where it's, you know, it's like meat and potatoes. And years ago I would come home and they're so conservative and I would be like, you guys, it's okay. Like, you know, there's all these places now. And I think we're really spoiled in Los Angeles. And now, like what we're going to be doing with Sugar Taco is like making amazing food that's affordable. And I think that's eventually where we're going to end up going, but there's no 100%. Excuse anymore. I mean, you know.
And I always tell people this too. If you live in a small town, like my family still lives in this tiny little town in Canada, there's one grocery store. Go in and request stuff of your grocery store.
Supply on demand.
If you are asking for things that you will buy, your grocery store will carry them. It's as simple as that. Same with restaurants. Like, why do you think all these restaurants have vegan menus now? It's because people like me, you, other people are like, what are your vegan options? Once they see that the demand is there, they'll create it for you. Exactly. So it doesn't matter where you live. It's just fruits and vegetables and grains and beans. Like, you can make it happen. You might not have all the like fancy gourmet cheeses and stuff that we have here yet. It's coming. But they, like my mom and sisters, they asked for vegan cheese, and now they have 2 different brands of vegan cheese in their tiny little grocery store in Canada that's like an hour and a half to the closest main city. So if they can do it, then anyone can do it.
My mom gets so excited. Like, she'll call me and she'll be like, they have organic food now here. And like, you know, and I'm like, I know, Mom. Like, you know, the world is slowly changing because we're demanding, you know, that.
And like you said with Sugar Taco, you know, we just announced it, a week ago that we were doing it. And I've had so many people be like, hey, bring one to Texas here, or bring one to Minnesota, bring one here. And we're getting so many like requests of cities where people are wanting this type of food that's plant-based but delicious and like affordable. So, I mean, we're gonna open as many as we can as fast as we can, of course. But yeah, that's like a big part of it, is just servicing, like the demand is there. So all of the companies are slowly catching up to it, and it's making a difference. And it's another big thing is people are like, oh, whatever, you're not making a difference, or me going vegan isn't gonna make a difference. I'm like, just look at the world. Look at all the massive companies that used to make meat that are now acquiring vegan, plant-based companies. There are slaughterhouses and dairy farms that are now turned into almond milk producers and rescues and all sorts of stuff, because that's the only thing that matters is supply and demand, which you said. If we're not demanding stuff, they'll stop making them. Like,
well, and
just how
like
it works.
You that have, you know, a huge platform. I mean, Oprah is the epitome of this, but like anybody that has a huge platform and uses it for good and, you know, teaches people things that, you know, might otherwise not know. I totally respect. But there's something else I want to talk about. I'm dying to talk about. It's so funny. The other day, I sent my boyfriend your little TMZ thing, and I go, so these are my new business partners. But to me, I was like, yes. I was like, this is so amazing. So So do you want to talk about that at all?
So I'm very pro. I don't like to call myself a feminist because I don't think I am. I'm up for, like, I really believe in equal rights for everyone. It doesn't matter if you're male or female or trans or black or white or a dog or a cat. For me, I feel like it's just all the same. Everyone should have the same rights. And, but I am very free the nipple is like my thing. I'm very pro free the nipple. I think it's absolutely ridiculous that a man can walk down the street totally topless and show his gross hairy ass nipples to the world. But a woman doing the same thing with her beautiful breasts that have a purpose on this planet would get arrested for it. It's literally illegal. And to me, that's so crazy. And like you said, it goes even further, like that issue they asked me about on TMZ of the girl in high school that was forced to put tape over her nipples because it showed through her t-shirt.
Unbelievable.
Which is insane. And I had the same thing growing up. Like, I got these exact size boobs when I was 13 years old. They just sprouted one summer, and it was a problem in my school. Like, they enforced a dress code solely because of me, because then when I'm wearing spaghetti straps and like whatever else, like I had boobs and nipples and the whole thing. And it's very stressful to be like made to feel that your body is something to be ashamed of and to hide. But like the guys in gym class would wear these like cut off shirts or play shirts and skins and be totally free to just be topless everywhere, and it's really upsetting. So that night, yes, I had had some tequila, but they were asking me about it, and I just tried to be in solidarity with her. Like, you don't have to be ashamed of this. Like, you should just be free to be out. And it's so funny too, because they posted that, but even in it, my nipples are blurred through my dress. So it's like, I kind of was like proud of them for posting it and also acknowledging the real story and not just being like, oh, girl shows her boobs. But
which,
also,
by the way, if those of you who haven't seen it, that was Jade's response, was to just free the nipple.
For those who haven't seen it, I pulled my boobs out on camera.
Which I wish I could do at this point in my life, but I can't with a 14-year-old. But I don't have, I mean, power to, I mean, I think it's like,
it probably was not, I believe in everything that I said. I probably wouldn't have pulled them out if I hadn't have had a couple shots of tequila. But I'm very proud of it, and I do really think that, I would walk around topless if it was legal. Not that I would like flaunt in front of cameras, because like I hate having my photo taken, weirdly enough. But it's just such an important thing for me, and women get shamed so often for their bodies in general. Whether you're fit or you're skinny, you're plus size, it doesn't matter. Like, you always get shamed for showing skin, no matter what. And me and Brittany, you know, my other partner in Sugar Taco, we start kind of like shaming men for showing skin. Like, we'll always like go onto like guys' Instagrams and be like, oh, you're just an Instagram model. Like, just because it's for us, obviously it's joking, we don't mean it seriously. But I'm like, you guys need a taste of your own medicine. You're literally doing the exact same thing that we're doing, but your reaction is so different. People are like, oh, great, where do you work out? But we post a bikini photo and people are like, oh, like she's a slut, or you don't know anything because you're just a bikini model. And it's like, you know that you can be intelligent and also wear a bikini?
They're the same men that wish they could be with somebody like you, but they just don't have a shot.
It's craziness.
But I totally agree with you. And you know, in other parts of the world, it's like there's naked topless beaches. And for me, actually, I was in Miami when I was 18, and it was a topless beach. I was there every day.
Yeah.
And that's how I booked Abercrombie. I was like the first topless girl in Abercrombie.
How cool.
And it was a big deal. But
That's
like
awesome.
my mom and everyone was supportive, and you know.
Oh yeah, my mom is like, she's the one that convinced me to do Playboy. She's like, you're only gonna be hot and young once. Like, you may as well take advantage.
Exactly.
I'm like, oh, all right.
Yeah.
I guess I should.
I love it.
But yeah, that I had to take a stance. I felt very passionate at the moment.
Well, I think anytime that there's like you were just saying here, you had to fill out some forms, and that's so interesting when you think about that. That it was, you know, asking you to, if you're a Miss or a Mrs.
Yeah.
For a female.
Yeah.
But if you're a man, there's only one option.
Exactly.
So it would determine whether we're married or not.
Exactly. So basically, it's like the value that you have as a woman changes based on you being married or not. But being a man, you're just a man. It's exactly the same. It makes no difference. And it's funny, I filled out so many forms. I mean, I'm an immigrant. I'm now a U.S. citizen. So I had my visa, my green card. So I have filled out probably 50,000 different forms, and I've never really thought about it until this morning. I filled out a petition for something. I'm like a petition monster. I signed so many. And it asked me, and I thought, like, it's so bizarre that we have to indicate our title as married or unmarried, but that a man is just Mr. That's it.
Well, and now that you brought awareness to it, I think it'll start to shift. All these little things.
It's so funny,
that
right? You just never think of it, and then you're like, wait.
Yeah.
Why? That's so stupid. Like, I don't feel like we should have to specify that. I don't feel like it should be important.
So I want to ask you, what is, I always ask my guests, I know, and I'm sure you have a million, but if you had to say one thing, what is your golden secret?
Oh, man. I think that being very honest with myself and with other people, I think works to my advantage. Most people are not very upfront or find it awkward, so they'll lie about stuff. And I've always had really bad experiences with that as a child, or like other people lying. And so I've tried to live my life as an extremely honest person. And I think it's allowed me to also meet other people that are on the same energy level and vibe as me, and are also really honest and good, and have good intentions for me and for themselves. And so, yeah, probably that.
I love that. Living in your truth, and then the people that are living in their truth meet you right there. Well, I'm so grateful for you and to be a part of Sugar Taco and everything that you do and that you share to help save the world and all of that stuff. Where can everybody find you? I mean, if you have...
Yeah, my Instagram is just Jayde Nicole. That's where I post almost everything. Of course, our Sugar Taco is now Sugar Taco LA. So make sure to follow along there to see all the cool stuff that we're doing there. And it's just the beginning. I mean, we have so much stuff that we're doing with Sugar Taco. It's not just a restaurant, you know, we're planting trees, we're feeding hungry kids around the world, and there's a lot of stuff that we're doing as a family and as a community there, and we're just starting to build. So everyone should go there.
Yes, you do. Thank you so much.
Thank you for having me.
Yeah, so sweet.